This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
And the time right now is 4:27 here. We finally made it to Friday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Casey. Meredith has the day off. We are following several stories here as we get you ready for your Friday and your weekend. This one's from overnight and has to do with a fire that actually forced 9 women from a group home. They were in that home overnight when the fire broke out. Right now, firefighters are not sure what led up to this fire, but of course, we're going to continue to check in with them and keep you updated. We know this happened on the north side near 34th and Keystone Avenue. The good news here is everyone was able to get out safely. There were no injuries reported or any casualties for this fire, even though all those people were living in that home. So that is the good news this morning. We'll keep you updated as we learn more on the investigation. We do have a big headache coming to drivers who maybe commute on the south side of Indianapolis, and this starts tonight around 9 p.m. The southbound lanes of I-65 are going to close from the south split all the way down to I-465. Now, you know we had a really wet May and June here in Indiana, so INDOT crews are a little bit behind on a few construction projects they're working on in that area. So they're going to be closing this area for a little over a week. Actually, again, it goes into effect tonight at 9 o'clock. And that's the southbound lanes. You're going to need to reroute, and we're going to be keeping you updated on that project and any detours that'll help you get around this. Right now, we do want to bring in Todd Clausen, though, and talk about the weekend forecast. Todd, when I stepped out of my car today, it was pretty comfortable. Nice little breeze going on out there.
It was. I told you yesterday, I was like, give the air conditioner a break, open up the windows. It's going to be nice and pleasant, and really is this morning. So you are in great shape for anything you want to do. Here's a live look outside, and anytime I don't have to use the radar this time of the morning is always a good thing. And look at that, Logansport, you're down to 59 degrees, 60 in Zionsville and Lafayette, still holding on to 66 in Indianapolis, a little warmer in the city with all the pavement around, 64 in Muncie. But it is a perfect weather day today for this time of year. 84 degrees, the high temperature, the humidity will be low. The skies will be completely sunny throughout the entire day. So make sure you get out there and enjoy, because things do start to change as we head into the weekend. The heat comes back and the humidity starts to creep up a little bit. Not so much tomorrow, but as we get into Sunday and beyond, it's a real hot stretch of weather for us.
Honestly, the humidity, the low humidity today was what I noticed the most stepping out of the car. It wasn't sticky.
Anytime this time of year when the humidity is low, you're in great shape.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, another story our Alyssa Donovan is working on for us this morning has to do with a food desert in the northeast side. You see this Walmart here. This one is getting ready to close on East 38th Street, closing its doors today. And that has people concerned who live in the area that they won't have access to fresh food. A food desert has to do with how far the nearest grocery is with fresh food for people living in that community. They have to be able to walk to the store. So we're going to keep you updated on what's going on in that area, plus news, weather, and traffic coming right up.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
An overnight fire forces 9 women out of their home, breaking now at 4:30. What firefighters say may have started that blaze. Plus, 2 Fisher's brothers busted by the FBI. How federal officials say they were trying to give supplies to the Islamic State. Well, it is Friday here on Good Morning Indiana. It's 4:30. Thanks for waking up early with us here. I'm Lauren Casey. Meredith and Elena have the day off, so it's just me and Todd Clausen today.
Holding down the fort.
Holding down the fort for everyone. And luckily it's Friday, and we have a great day in the weather department.
They pick good days to take off, right?
Man.
Friday in the summer, and you get a great weather day as well. It's going to be near perfect out there, and Lauren's exactly right. It's a great start to the day with the low humidity and these comfortable temperatures. We're at 66 right now in Indy, 61 in Greencastle. Many of you will fall back down into the upper 50s here this morning, especially from Lafayette to Crawfordsville to Greencastle. Bloomington, you're at 65. You may not get down into the 50s, but low 60s this time of year with low humidity. It's absolutely great. And here's the view from downtown looking off to the north. Can't see a whole lot, obviously with the sun not up, but it is a beautiful morning for us. So Storm Team 6 radar is quiet this morning. That's the way it stays throughout the entire day. In fact, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a cloud here throughout, especially the morning hours. You may build in a few fair weather clouds later on this afternoon, but we are high and dry. The start of what will be a good weekend. Yes, the temperatures are going to start to come up a little bit as we work our way into Saturday and Sunday, and the humidity does as well, but we'll have pretty dry conditions. Mostly sunny today, 77 by the noon hour. Grab your lunch, head outdoors, or find a patio, and then there's those high temperatures topping off in the mid-80s. The time now is 4:31. Let's get a look at traffic, Lauren.
All right, Todd. Well, the good news right now is you're traveling through the downtown area. No issues here at the South Split, but that'll all change tonight when crews put a closure in place on the southbound lanes. They're going to be closing I-65 southbound, as we mentioned earlier, between the South Split here all the way down to I-465 on the south side. So expect some changes for your weekend commute and into next week. That's going to be a complete closure. We're going to keep you updated, but let's take another live look right now. This is I-465 Rockville Road on the west side. You can see traffic there traveling smoothly. Of course, we're going to be keeping you updated on your morning commute throughout the day. We do want to start with some breaking news. This is from the city's north side, rather. This is where 9 women were living in a group home, and they're being forced to find a shelter elsewhere due to a fire. Now, the fire here started around 1 o'clock this morning in the home located on 34th and Keystone. We're told that this fire was contained to one room, and it caused about $70,000 worth of damage. The women were able to get out okay, and they've been taken to other facilities. Firefighters have not said what started this fire. Now to more breaking news. This is from the city's east side. That's where one person is recovering from a shooting. This scene unfolded around 12:30 just south of East Washington and Arlington Avenue. Authorities say the victim may have been shot somewhere else and then rode his scooter to where police found him. Police have not released any information on the search for a suspect at this time, and that victim is expected to survive. State troopers do need your help this morning finding a woman and 2 young children at the center of a silver alert. Come take a look at your screen. Authorities are looking for Danielle Yoder and 3-year-old Braden Ratcliffe and 6-year-old Gage Ratcliffe. Now, the trio here was seen in Goshen and could be in extreme danger. Officials believe that Danielle may be driving a silver Saturn Vue SUV. If you have any information on their whereabouts, please call police. If you need to see this information again, we have all the details for you in the RTV6 app. It's 4:33. 2 Fishers brothers facing charges this morning after federal officials say they tried to provide guns to the Islamic State. The Justice Department says 21-year-old Moyad Danan and 20-year-old Mahdi Danan sold several illegally obtained firearms to undercover FBI agents. The brothers also began to make untraceable ghost guns. Officials say the brothers actually purchased unmarked firearm parts online and then turned those into .223 caliber semi-automatic rifles. The brothers then reportedly sold the guns to an undercover FBI agent. Neighbors say they didn't know what to think when the FBI showed up.
When we first saw it, we thought it was like a military drill or something like that. There was about 30 FBI agents that came up through this entrance here and drove right up into the yard and batter rammed the door down, and we really didn't know what to think at the time.
Well, the head of the FBI's Indianapolis division calls this operation unprecedented, saying, quote, "This case is the first of its kind for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, where you have individuals allegedly making guns to sell and or send overseas to ISIS." The indictment paints a vivid picture of the rapid rise of homegrown violent extremism and the lengths that people are willing to go in support of terrorist activity, end quote. The Danan brothers are being held in jail right now without bond. If convicted, they could face 10 years in prison on each of the firearms charges and 20 years in prison for trying to provide material support to ISIS. We have much more on this story right now in the RTV6 app. At 4:35 this morning, we now know how an Indianapolis man died more than a month after his body was found stuffed in a suitcase. The Marion County coroner says 56-year-old Larry Terry was strangled. People fishing along a creek near Raymond and Keystone on the southeast side found the suitcase back in May. Relatives reported Terry missing in March. If you have any information that could help this investigation, you need to call Crime Stoppers. A Sullivan County man facing kidnapping and aggravated battery charges this morning. Police arrested 29-year-old Michael Scott of Shelburne after he reportedly abducted a 28-year-old man from his home. Scott reportedly forced that victim into the trunk of a car and took him to a rural area and then beat him with a hatchet. The victim is in an Indianapolis hospital this morning. Police also learned that there was a woman in the car with Scott during this incident. They do not believe she was a willing participant in the crime. This morning, Michael Scott faces a number of charges, including battery with a deadly weapon. In Democracy 2020 news, presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg unveiling new aspects of his plan for racial justice. The South Bend mayor says that he hopes the policy proposals will help heal racial divides. Buttigieg first announced his Douglas plan in an op-ed for the Charleston Chronicle last month. It was named for abolitionist Frederick Douglass. Buttigieg says it seeks to combat racial inequality by focusing federal attention on a variety of factors, including criminal justice reform.
Often more incarceration is associated with more crime. There are a lot of cases around the country where the incarceration is doing more harm than the original offense. Not just that, but some of these harms are generational.
Buttigieg's plan would also focus on healthcare, education, and entrepreneurship, and also voting rights. Another Democrat has thrown her name into the ring to potentially fill the congressional seat being vacated by Republican Representative Susan Brooks. Former state representative Christina Hale is a Democrat who has served as an executive of a nonprofit agency since she left the legislature back in 2016. Hale is the third Democrat to announce a run for the congressional district that includes the north side of Indy, Carmel, Fishers, Anderson, and also a part of Kokomo. Also in the race is Dee Thornton, who lost to Brooks in last year's general election, and Jennifer Christie, who lost to Thornton in last year's Democratic primary. At 4:37, the Department of Public Works officials say that they care about your neighborhood streets. City leaders here in Indianapolis are putting a spotlight on a crew that's focused solely on residential and neighborhood streets. Well, the city created the street maintenance team late last year, and they repair streets that may not have been addressed by private contractors under the Department of Public Works plan. On Thursday, the crew there just demonstrated its work on Laurel Hall Drive, that's near 56th Street and Emerson Way on the northeast side.
This new strategy opens our city's pavement rehabilitation work on two fronts, both large projects that affect thousands and smaller streets like this one, which may serve 100 or so cars daily.
So far this year, the street maintenance team has fixed roads in 21 areas in our city. Well, all eyes are on the tropics this morning. Tropical storm Barry inching closer towards landfall along the Gulf Coast. After the break, how residents are preparing ahead of this storm. Plus, another child dies after being left in a hot car. New this morning, the charges that child's parent now faces. Todd.
And Lauren, we have our first 50-degree temperature of the morning. We're down to 59 now in Crawfordsville, 64 in Muncie, holding on to 66 in Indianapolis. The skies are clear. The humidity is low. These temperatures will warm quickly and turn into a beautiful day for us. We'll talk all about it in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 4:39. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV6.
Sponsored by Citizens Energy Group.
Welcome back. It is 4:42, and here's a look at some of the stories expected to make headlines today. The House Oversight Committee will hold hearings today on the Trump administration's child separation policy. Testimony is expected from Democratic representatives who toured border facilities in Texas earlier this month. Their trip was to investigate the poor living conditions migrants face at the facilities. A court hearing is scheduled for today in the case against Mario Batali. The celebrity chef is facing an indecent assault and battery charge stemming from an alleged March 2017 incident with a woman in a Boston restaurant. Batali pled not guilty during his arraignment on May 24th in the Boston Municipal Court. In addition to the criminal charge, Batali is facing a civil lawsuit over the same incident. At 4:43, new from overnight, a 3-year-old boy has died after being left in a hot car near Nashville, Tennessee. Officials say the boy was found in the car outside of a home in Smyrna. The first responders there tried to save the child, but they were unsuccessful. Officials say the boy was in that car for about 2 hours. This morning, the boy's father is facing aggravated child abuse and neglect charges. The latest death comes just days after a 3-year-old, Oliver Dill, died in a hot car down in Evansville. The boy's father says he forgot to drop the toddler off at the University of Southern Indiana Child Care Center. No charges have been filed in that case. The National Safety Council says 19 children have died in hot cars so far this summer. A Noblesville mom now facing charges this morning after leaving toddlers in a vehicle. This incident happened at a Walmart on Clove Road at about 1:30 yesterday afternoon. Officers there found the children ages 2 and 4 strapped in their car seats with no adults around. Authorities say the windows in the vehicle were rolled down about 6 inches, but the vehicle was not running. The mother is facing 2 charges of neglect of a dependent. Well, Tropical Storm Barry is churning towards the Gulf Coast this morning. That storm could become a hurricane before it makes landfall this weekend. As ABC's Trevor Alt reports, officials there have ordered evacuations in some areas and declared a state of emergency.
This morning, the Gulf is bracing. With Tropical Storm Barry bearing down and threatening to become a hurricane by the weekend, thousands now scrambling to sandbag and evacuate.
We'll take 3 days of clothing because that's the routine. This area right here, we always got to evacuate.
As much as 20 inches of rain on the way to parts of Louisiana as the state is already battling unprecedented flooding. The Mississippi River is higher than it's ever been with a storm this size approaching and a torrent of hurricane rainfall threatening to overtop the 20-foot-high levees protecting New Orleans, just days after previous storms flooded the city streets and with many still weary from Hurricane Katrina.
We're confident that we are not going to have a duplicate of Katrina. However, if you have a storm that has elevations much higher than those flood walls, you're going to get water in the city.
New Orleans mayor telling residents not to evacuate, but to have a plan. And Louisiana's governor, John Bel Edwards, taking action ahead of time, activating 3,000 National Guardsmen and deploying disaster response resources while requesting extra federal emergency funds.
This is going to be a major weather event for a huge portion of the state of Louisiana.
On top of being a powerful storm, Barry is also slow moving, possibly bringing 48 hours of heavy rainfall beginning Friday night and not letting up until late Sunday. Forecasts show once Barry makes landfall, it's expected to move north through the weekend, drenching Louisiana, but also hitting parts of Texas and Mississippi too. Trevor Ault, ABC News, Washington.
And back here in the Weather Center, Todd, we want to talk about that storm because we know sometimes we get the remnants of these storms a few days later.
And it's certainly a possibility here as we get into the middle of next week. So there's going to be a little bit of a change probably as we get closer to Tuesday and Wednesday in our forecast. But here's a look at Barry right now. Very disorganized. Doesn't look all that impressive right now. But it'll continue again to slowly move to the north. And that's the issue. It's just slowly moving. And it keeps throwing all this moisture on shore there in the low-lying portions of Louisiana. As far as that track, again, it's going to come on shore, borderline tropical storm hurricane, most likely during the day tomorrow. And then as it moves to the north, it's looking like maybe by Wednesday, we could start to see some of the remnants of Barry. It'll be determined how much moisture comes to the north, but most likely we'll keep some thunderstorms in the forecast as we get into Tuesday and also into Wednesday. And those storms, a lot of times, once they start moving across land, they get picked up by fronts and they can move to the north a little bit quicker. 66 degrees, that is the current temperature. Look at that dew point, mid-50s. That is great. The wind is out of the north at 10 miles per hour. Anytime we have a north wind, that's a nice, refreshing wind for us, and that's what we'll be dealing with throughout the entire day, and that's going to keep the dew points in the 50s for us. So it's a very, very comfortable air mass for us from start to finish here throughout the day today, and today is probably the best weather day of the week, so we round out the week with the nicest weather day on Friday, so it's perfect for us. 59 now in Crawfordsville, 65 in Bloomington, 64 in Muncie, 63 is the current temperature in Richmond. I think some of you will additionally, besides Crawfordsville, fall down into the 50s here this morning. The good news is with the sunshine, we warm up quite nicely. We're about 76 degrees here by the noon hour, and then temperatures will be in the low 80s later on this afternoon. Again, it is a near perfect day. It's hard to even find a flaw in the forecast for the day today, and maybe hard to find a cloud later on this afternoon as we are completely clear. The closest clouds we have are over here just south of Cleveland in Ohio. You look off to the west and there's absolutely nothing going on, and eventually we'll start to see this high pressure area that's giving us the nice weather today move out, and we'll also start to see some heat build in as that high shifts off towards the east. Will turn the winds a little more southerly. So this evening, Friday night plans, you are in great shape, falling from the 70s into the 60s eventually just after midnight, and by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, it's still really, really comfortable across the area. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s, so it is very similar to this morning for tomorrow morning. So your weekend gets off to a great start. Tomorrow, though, as we turn the winds a little more southerly, that's going to start to bring the warmer temperatures back into the forecast. So you notice tomorrow we have sunshine from start to finish. It's a nice, bright Saturday for us, but the temperatures will eventually climb all the way close to 90 degrees for your high tomorrow. Humidity comes up a little bit throughout the day tomorrow, but it's not going to be super oppressive. And then as we get into Sunday and Monday, that's when the humidity really starts to come up. And then you see for Tuesday there, I have watching the tropics through some thunderstorms in there. We may be able to take them out, or we may have to increase the coverage of the storms depending on what exactly Barry does. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thank you so much. We are keeping a close eye on your roads as you're heading out to start your Friday. And here's a live look right now to the southwest, I-70 here at Ronald Reagan Parkway. Maybe you're heading out to catch a flight for the weekend. Looks like the interstates in that area clear, going both eastbound and westbound, no problems. Let's take a look right now up to the northeast, I-465 and I-69. You can see traffic in that area is traveling smoothly. Of course, we're going to keep a close eye on any crashes or delays and keep you updated. Well, ball pits are a fun way for kids to expend some energy, but they're also full of germs and bacteria. Researchers tested ball pits located in various physical therapy clinics. Well, they found a considerable amount of bacteria in all of the locations, some of which could cause potential infection. Doctors say it's perfectly safe for children to play in ball pits. However, if a child has a compromised immune system or if they're on medications that reduce their ability to fight off infection, you need to take some precaution.
What they did find is that a lot of bacteria can live in these ball pits. The majority of the bacteria itself were bacteria that you would kind of expect. Bacteria that is normally found on your skin, normally found in your mouth, and some the bacteria that's found in your gut.
Well, doctors add that like any play area, good hand hygiene is important in a ball pit. And if a child has an open sore or wound, it is best to stay out of the ball pit to avoid infection. Well, a Georgia mom orders her adult child a birthday cake. Just ahead on Good Morning Indiana, why this cake is not exactly what she expected. But first,
I'm Vinny Politan. Today on Court TV, our continuing coverage of Georgia versus Terrell. A caregiver at an assisted living facility has been charged with the death of one of his 91-year-old patients who was living there. Now, the prosecution has rested their case. The medical examiner testified that the man's death was consistent with being assaulted. Today, the defense puts on their expert who's going to explain how the injuries sustained by this 91-year-old World War II veteran are not consistent with an assault and the death was accidental. Our coverage today, live in Georgia, Georgia versus Terrell.
And don't forget, you can watch all of the new Court TV live right on your mobile device by visiting CourtTV.com. It is 4:51. We'll be right back after the break.
RTV6 is working for you.
Welcome back. A letter from Tupac written to Madonna will be auctioned off again. The letter was written back in 1995 while Tupac was in prison. The rapper writes about their romantic relationship and how race affected it. The letter was acquired by Gotta Have It Rock and Roll and originally put up for auction in the year 2017. Bidding reached $100,000 before Madonna actually filed an emergency court order and blocked the sale. The Manhattan Supreme Court later ruled that the letter was property of the auction company. At 4:56, a Georgia Dairy Queen making a mistake on this birthday cake that had its recipient in stitches. This is the cake that Kensley Davis got for her 25th birthday. The giant marijuana leaf and My Little Pony smoking a joint would have been perfect for maybe a pothead, but Davis is a Disney fan. In fact, her favorite film is Moana. You can do the math and figure out what went wrong here when her mom asked the restaurant to make a Moana-themed cake. The restaurant offered to make a new cake, but Davis's mom says the first one was so good and hilarious, and so she didn't take them up on it. It's a good thing this girl's 25 and can laugh about this, because some 4-year-old who wants a Moana birthday cake, I don't think would like this cake too much.
I'm a little more concerned she's 25 and has My Little Pony still on the cake.
Yeah, or that she wanted a Moana-themed cake.
Yeah, Moana.
It's a good movie, though. I just watched that with Archie, and he liked it. So.
I have no idea what Moana is.
It's very cute.
I have not watched it. All right, outside right now we're dealing with quiet conditions. Lots of clear skies, low humidity. 84 today with sunshine. Enjoy. The heat returns tomorrow. The humidity comes up a little bit tomorrow. Not super oppressive. It's really Sunday into Monday that you notice the humidity around. We'll introduce the chance of a stray shower, and then as we work our way into the middle of next week, going to be a little unsettled as the remnants of Barry make their way through the area. The time now is 4:57. Stay with us. We'll be right back.